My grandma's kitchen was pure magic. Cheerful yellow cupboards, a chipped checkerboard floor, and the constant scent of cinnamon and warm bread. The big wooden table, always dusted with flour, was the heart of it all. Grandma, in her colourful apron, moved with practiced grace, humming as she worked. Her hands, busy and sure, created wonders on the old green stove. Mismatched mugs, pots of herbs on the windowsill, and a steady ticking clock made it feel timeless. Worries melted away here, replaced by the promise of her legendary apple pie. This kitchen was more than a room, it was the soul of our family. Grandma's apple pie recipe was a family legend, never written down, never spoken aloud in full. It was the kind of secret that made every family gathering feel like a treasure hunt, with everyone hoping to catch a glimpse of her mysterious process. The kitchen would fill with the scent of cinnamon and apples, and we'd all gather, pretending to help, but really, just trying to learn her secret. Whenever we asked for the recipe, Grandma would just give us a sly wink and tap her head as if to say, "It's all up here." She loved the game. And we loved playing along, even if it meant we never quite got the answer we wanted. We tried to memorize her every move, watching her hands as she measured flour by feel and tossed in spices with a flourish. But she was always one step ahead, too quick, too clever, always hiding the final touch. It was as if the recipe itself was a living thing, darting just out of reach. Then one rainy afternoon, while exploring the attic, I stumbled upon a small carved wooden chest tucked behind a stack of old boxes. The air was thick with dust and memories, and my heart raced with curiosity as I brushed off the lid. Inside, nestled among faded photographs and yellowed letters, was a leather-bound notebook. Its cover was soft and worn, and when I opened it, I saw her familiar handwriting at the top of the first page, "My apple pie." Each ingredient was more than just a measurement. It came with a note, a memory, a story from her life. There were doodles in the margins, little hearts and apples, and reminders to always taste the apples first. It was like reading a diary, each page a window into her world. Mum teared up as we realized Grandma had written it all down for Grandad, so he'd always have a piece of her, even when she wasn't there. The notebook was more than a recipe. It was a love letter, a keepsake, a piece of our family's soul. That book was a gift from the past, a secret map to her heart, filled with laughter, love, and the warmth of home. It was a reminder that some treasures aren't gold or jewels, but memories and stories passed down through generations. We held it like treasure, ready to bring her magic back to life, knowing that every time we baked her pie, we were keeping her spirit alive in our kitchen and in our hearts. The recipe began, as all the best ones do, with apples, 3 Bramleys for their sharp mouth-puckering tartness, and 3 Coxes for a gentle honeyed sweetness. The combination was non-negotiable, a balance that made every bite sing with flavour. Grandma always insisted on apples with real character, the kind you'd pick yourself from a tree heavy with fruit, still cool from the morning air. She believed the best pies started with fruit that had a story, blemishes, odd shapes and all. Next came the flour, measured not with scales, but in her favourite chipped teacup, 2 heaping cups plus a little extra for dusting the counter. That teacup had seen decades of baking, its handle worn smooth by generations of hands. Cold, proper butter was absolutely key. It had to be cut into cubes straight from the fridge, so cold it made your fingers tingle. Grandma said the chill was what made the pastry sing. Those little nuggets of butter tossed into the flour were the secret to a pastry that was impossibly flaky and tender. Each cube promised a pocket of melt-in-your-mouth goodness. Then came the spices, a generous spoonful of cinnamon for warmth, a pinch of nutmeg for depth, and a careful scrape of allspice for that mysterious, almost festive note. The kitchen would fill with their aroma even before the pie hit the oven, and then her secret, just a whisper of ground ginger. Not enough to overpower, but just enough to make you wonder what made this pie so special. The ginger gave the pie its signature warmth, a gentle heat that lingered on the tongue and made every forkful feel like a hug. Each step felt like a ritual, a dance passed down through generations, connecting us to her and to all the bakers who came before. The recipe card, smudged and faded, was our guide and our link to the past. We gathered the ingredients, laying them out on the counter like treasures, ready to recreate her masterpiece and fill the house with memories. As the kitchen filled with the promise of something unforgettable, we knew we were baking more than just a pie. We were baking a piece of our family's story. Grandma's first rule: work fast with cold hands for perfect pastry. She always said, the colder your hands, the flakier your crust. So before we even touched the dough, we'd run our hands under icy water, giggling at the chill, knowing it was all part of her secret. The kitchen would fill with anticipation as we prepared, each of us eager to see if we could match her legendary touch. We chilled our hands, then rubbed butter into flour until it looked like golden breadcrumbs. She taught us to use just our fingertips, working quickly so the butter stayed cold. The mixture would fall through our fingers like sand, and she'd nod approvingly, reminding us that patience and speed could go hand in hand. For the filling, she let the apples sit with sugar and spices, drawing out syrup and deepening flavor. The scent of cinnamon and nutmeg would fill the air, and we'd watch as the apples glistened, soaking up every bit of sweetness. She believed that letting the fruit rest was just as important as any other step, coaxing out flavors that made every bite special. Rolling the pastry between baking paper kept it tender and easy to handle. No sticking, no tearing, just smooth, even dough every time. She'd show us how to gently lift the paper, revealing a perfect sheet ready for the pie dish. It was a simple trick, but it made us feel like pros. Her finishing touch: brush the top with milk, sprinkle with demerara sugar, and cut a little heart for steam and love. That heart wasn't just for looks. It was her way of saying every pie was made with care. The sugar would caramelize, giving the crust a golden sparkle, and the heart-shaped vent would let the aroma escape, filling the house with warmth. Every trick was simple, but made all the difference. From the way she measured flour with a gentle shake to her knack for knowing when the dough was just right, her wisdom was woven into every step. She made baking feel like magic, but also something anyone could learn. We followed her notes, feeling her presence in every step. Each scribbled instruction was a memory, a story, a lesson passed down. Even when she wasn't in the room, her guidance was there, steady and reassuring, as if she was baking right beside us. The pie was more than a recipe. It was a lesson in care and detail. Every crimped edge, every sprinkle of sugar, every careful cut was a reminder that love is found in the smallest gestures. The pie would cool on the windowsill, glowing in the afternoon light, a symbol of patience and pride. Each clever trick turned baking into a dance. We'd move around the kitchen in rhythm, passing ingredients, sharing smiles and laughing at our flour-dusted faces. It was more than just making dessert, it was a celebration of togetherness. We realized her magic was in the little things, the way she pinched the crust, the gentle dusting of flour, the extra pinch of spice. These were the touches that made her baking unforgettable. That's what made her pie unforgettable. It wasn't just the taste, but the love, care and wisdom baked into every slice. A legacy we'd carry on, one clever little trick at a time. With the recipe in hand, our kitchen became a symphony. The thud of apples, the swish of flour, the clink of spoons, all part of the music. Spices filled the air, blending into a fragrance of pure comfort. We moved in harmony, passing bowls and sharing smiles. The old clock kept time, the oven hummed, sunlight danced on flour dust. Assembling the pie was our grand finale, pastry laid, apples spooned in, edges crimped, sugar sprinkled. Our kitchen orchestra played its last note as the pie went into the oven. All that was left was to wait for the applause. As the pie baked, we gathered at the table, the recipe book open between us. Mum shared stories of Grandma, of childhood, of cinnamon-scented memories. The pie was a time machine connecting us to the past. Each note in the book was a piece of Grandma's heart, a secret promise, a reminder of love. Baking together became a new memory, layered on old ones. We realized the real secret wasn't in the ingredients, but in the love and togetherness. The pie was a symbol of family, tradition, and connection. In baking, we kept her spirit alive. The timer buzzed. The moment had come. We pulled the golden pie from the oven, its sugary crust sparkling, the heart-shaped vent releasing sweet steam. Waiting for it to cool was agony, but Grandma's notes insisted patience. Finally, the first slice, crackling crust, tender apples, thick syrup. We tasted it together, and for a moment, time stood still. The pastry melted, the apples sang with tart and sweet, the ginger warmed our hearts. It was Grandma's pie, her love in every bite. Memories flooded back, laughter and tears mingling. The pie was delicious, but sharing it was even sweeter. In that moment, we were all together again.